Greetings, students, and welcome to another fun-filled day here at Horror in the Halls. What's up, kids, and welcome to Horror in the Halls. I'm Bob, aka Mr. Holland.
And I'm Jenny, aka Mrs. Hill.
And we're just two high school teachers talking about the spooky stuff we love. This month's lesson plan has us focus on strong females either behind the camera or in front of it. So for this week's lesson, you can't get rid of 2014's The Babadook.
Duke.
Babadook. Oh, man. So this is one of those, has a strong female presence on the screen, also written and directed by Jennifer Kent. It was her directorial debut for a feature. She had done a short film before this, and that was it. The short film was kind of she refers to it as the baby Babadook, because it was like kind of about the same premise. It's called Monster. Came out in 2014. Yeah, it's a Sundance pick for the film fest.
It?
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Because it's Australian, and apparently she was very nervous that Americans would not like it and understand
this
the
American
premise.
Did not like it.
I was waiting for that.
Hate it.
So yeah,
Sorry.
I mean, I can see. Yeah, I started off the same way, like, this movie's garbage, but then, it grew on me.
I'm glad it grew on you.
As it went by.
So happy for you.
And you guys will have to excuse my sniffles and whatnot. Coming back from spring break, I brought back COVID with me, so I'm a little ill, but we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, gross.
I know,
Sicky.
right? I'm always sick all the time. Anyway.
Whatever.
Yeah, it was official Sundance selection, which is pretty awesome. I've always wanted to be that, my movie was picked for Sundance. But it was in January 2014, official released in May. Mostly Australia. 94 running time, 94 minutes. Sorry, y'all, my brain doesn't work. Again, it is directed by Jennifer Kent. She's Australian, director, screenwriter, and she used to be an actress, had some small parts in Australia. Like I said, she wrote and directed The Babadook. Her second film was called The Nightingale. She also wrote and directed that as well. And then she did an episode of Guillermo del Toro's Cabinet of Curiosities. The one called The Murmuring was done by her.
Interesting.
Also written and directed. Hey, man, anyone that gets the Del Toro seal of approval has mine. You sold me. That's all you had to say.
I haven't watched that yet. I'm going to watch it. I just haven't had the opportunity to do it. So
it's pretty decent. Like I said, they're short. It's got like a Outer Limits, Twilight Zone kind of vibe, which I dig.
I'm not a big fan of Twilight Zone, so if you say it like that, I might not want to watch it.
You should check it out.
Hi, Twilight Zone.
What's wrong with you? The last 2 or 3 episodes are done by Del Toro themselves, so that's why I was in for that.
Okay.
Had a budget of about 2 to 2.5 million. Box office was 10.5.
Dang.
Yeah, it's a lot of money, but that's a lot of sets too, and a lot of it went to the art department. They did some stuff on crowdsourcing for different things. They had a Kickstarter campaign, was actually fully funded Kickstarter campaign because apparently, I took an interesting note. One of my fun facts here. Yeah, the American distributors were willing to help raise the budget on the condition that the Babadook be killed at the end, and she refused, as the Babadook represents inner demons to her, like mental illness or suppressed trauma, which stick with people for the rest of their lives. She didn't want to give the impression that something like that could be simply killed and life will just return to normal. The movie was financed through crowdfunding instead, so they couldn't get the money. They were like, we'll change this, and she was like, nope, this is my artistic vision, I'm not doing it. So it was crowdsourced, which I kind of respect that.
Like, it makes sense. Because, that's literally what the movie is. It's about mental health.
100%. And, unresolved trauma and the stages of grief.
Yes.
Yeah. Which, like I said, I was a fan of that. The more you watch it and the more I saw former students in the boy, Samuel, or I saw, I kind of could pick out things that were like, oh, this is why they're happening this, and this is why she's doing this. And you kind of, could put yourself in that position for a moment. Not fully, because I haven't lost a spouse to a car crash or nothing like that. But you could tell she definitely had some unresolved trauma. It's not helpful. She has another sister, just like back when we did Smile, who was just not helpful.
That's what I said. Yeah. I was like, gosh, this is so reminiscent of Smile. It's crazy.
I know. The sister just sucked.
Yeah, she does. I hated her.
The kid kind of did too.
Oh my God, they all sucked. Everybody sucked. The whole lot, except for Mrs. Roach.
Yeah, she was really nice.
Yeah, she's the only one that was decent.
So let's get
And the
into the
dog.
yeah, I know, poor dog. Get in
Mm,
the cast real fast. We
okay.
have Essie Davis as Amelia Vanek, Noah Wiseman as Samuel Vanek, Haley McElhenney as Aunt Claire, Daniel Henshaw as Robbie. I thought he was going to be a creeper, but he was just a nice guy.
Yeah.
Barbara West as Gracie Roach, Ben Winspear as Oscar Vanek, that's the dad. Really, I mean, Chloe Hearn as Ruby. There's a bunch of other random people. Tim Purcell as the Babadook himself. Solid film, I think. Essie Davis apparently went to like school with Jennifer Kent. They were both in a drama class together. That's how she
Okay.
knew she would be good for the role, which is
I mean,
interesting. I thought,
she did a great job. I'm not negating the fact that they're very phenomenal actors, but I just did not like this movie.
yeah,
It was depressing as fuck, first of
it
all.
it was.
And I was not in sometimes, when you're just not in good spirits and then you watch something and it just makes you feel worse. That's how I
Yeah,
felt. I
yeah.
was like, "Oh, this is just stuck with me." And I was like, "This sucks." And I was like, "Damn you, Bob." I was so like, I was just cussing you like at the end. I was like, "Why? Why is this happening again?"
I'd never seen it either though, so I
I
really
know,
just
and then I
wanted.
found that out and I was
Yeah,
like, "Oh, well, enjoy."
yeah, I know. I just wanted an excuse to watch it. Like I was one of those things I always meant to watch and just never got around to. And then we were talking about
Mhm.
doing like like those female created things, and I was like, well, I mean, this was written and directed. It's her first feature, movie, and it has a lot of like praise critically. Just to talk on that, it has a 98% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes
Of course it does.
and a 72 for audience, 3.4 on Letterboxd. But yeah,
It's a 0 for me, bud.
98%. Seriously?
I don't know. I just don't like it. I can appreciate things that are in the movie,
Yeah,
but I do not like this movie. So, I'm just throwing it out there.
it's fine. We're not gonna always like the same movies.
Mm-mm. No.
Like, and I think I liked it for different reasons. I definitely understand how you could not like it. It was very off-putting. I spent part of the movie like, oh my god, smack that kid, or oh, you're horrid. Like the whole time, I'm just like, oh, this person's terrible. The mom is terrible. Deal with your grief, and it's just all like, you're just living your day every day. But there's some really interesting stuff in the movie about the themes. And after I read some stuff in my research, I felt a little different about it. I was really concerned after about halfway through about the kid. I'm just like, God, the trauma this kid is going to have the rest of his life being in this movie. But then I was doing some research, and apparently the director was extremely sensitive about introducing the themes of the film to the child actor. So
Okay.
during pre-production, she carefully gave him like child-friendly version of what the story was about. And his
Okay.
mom was always there. And like essentially every time the mom is being like scary or violent towards the child, he's not actually there.
That's good
So the
because
boy never saw that.
there was a
Yes.
lot of really terrible
Oh
scenes
yeah.
that were very unsettling.
So essentially she delivered the lines to like a skinny guy, adult male, who just got down on his knees.
Okay. That
And
makes sense then.
she basically had said, she says, I didn't want to destroy a childhood to make this film. So whenever she got the shots of him looking terrible, like Davies would say things like, I'm going to take your Lego and throw them in the river. Like just really silly things that a kid would be like, oh my God, no, about, but never like,
Mhm.
I hate you, I'm going to kill you, like some of the scenes in this movie, which I think I was appreciative of. I always worried about that when you see kids in these kind of movies, like, what is this going to have on them? Like that Reagan
Yeah.
effect from The Exorcist, how she was all jacked up after that movie.
Well, I guess so.
Some old Linda Blair. But I appreciated
Mhm.
that. I thought it was interesting. Apparently the name
Yep.
comes from an anagram of a bad book.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That was a very bad book.
100%. Apparently there was a campaign you could buy that book too when this movie
No,
came out.
absolutely not. I'm
Yeah.
good. I don't. Nope. 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 Nope.
Yeah, it was hand created by the graphic artist that invented it. It was $80. I think they ended up selling 9,500 copies of that book.
Dang.
That's a lot.
I mean, it was a really cool artistic book. Like I'm not like there was really cool things about this whole movie. It's so depressing.
Yeah, it
The
is.
whole movie is so depressing. Everyone sucks. You don't feel any better at the end.
No, but I think that goes to her point though of like you don't, and that was kind of what Smile did too, which I didn't care for, but it was kind of like you don't overcome mental illness, you just learn to live with it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And
Yeah.
putting from that lens, it kind of makes you think, okay, you're right. I mean, a lot of the things like going to therapy and things like that are always talking about learning to cope with the things that you have happened to you. You can't change the past, but you're learning to deal with it, right? Or learning to live with it, so to speak. And I think that the end kind of wraps that up, because like at the end I was like, what the hell just happened? Like, I mean, not to jump through the whole movie, but like when the end happens and that white light's on her face and she's screaming, and then it cuts to like everything's fine and they're feeding it worms.
Okay.
I was like, what?
Are you going now already? Because
Sure.
I was wondering what the worms were for. I just thought her son was just being himself, because he's
Yeah.
kind of strange anyway. Like, not strange, but he's just eccentric kind of.
No, he's strange, though. He's strange.
And he was like, it's like, I got more today. And she's like, oh, good. Blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden she's feeding the Babadook in the basement worms.
Yeah.
I looked at Johnny. I go, what the hell is going on? Because when it retreated, it was like it got its feelings hurt.
Yeah.
After it's almost completely destroyed the entire family. And then she screams at it and says, you don't have no power here, blah, 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 blah. And then it's like, ooh, and it like retreats to the basement.
Well,
where
it did
it's going to
say
live.
In one of the pages of the book that it has power by denying it, and I think when she finally accepted that it was real and told it you have no power here, it lost its power.
I know, but it was so ridiculous. I was like, you know what? I think it would, okay. I think what it did for me is like, she's still scared of it at the end. And she clearly looked scared when it like screamed at her. And then she was like, it's okay. It's okay. And then you feed it a little pot of worms. I just don't understand.
Just two sons now, Samuel and the Babadook.
And Samuel's like, when can I go down there? And she's like, when you're older. What? So y'all are just going to feed this shit for the rest of your life? Worms? I don't understand. Whatever.
Eventually it'll be kittens and whatnot. People. Whatever.
Oh my God. And there's a second one. There's no way I can watch it.
There's not going to be a second one.
There is a second one, isn't there?
There shouldn't be.
Are you sure?
No, because according to what I was reading, apparently.
Okay. I thought I saw it pop up on.
No, there was
Google.
a weird Christmas version.
Oh, okay.
There was like a short they did. But no, Jennifer Kent holds the complete rights to this character. And she said that she will never allow any sequel to be made because it's not that kind of film. I don't care how much I'm offered. It's just not going to happen.
Okay. Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't need to have a sequel. I think it would not do very good.
No, it would just be them trying to capitalize on the character. But she's like, no, it's not what this movie's about. It's not about making a franchise. It was about mental health and being a single parent and dealing with a child and trauma and all that jazz. And it was her like a take on all of it.
A very heinous child.
Yeah. Well, he was very troubled, man. Imagine.
I know, but I'm like, oh my God, I can't. I would have lost my. Okay, so when I was watching it, I looked at Johnny. I said, if I had to deal with that every single day, I would have been committed already. Like, legitimately. There's no way I would not have been in a padded cell because my kid drove me to it.
Oh, she actually worked there too. I'm surprised she didn't just leave herself chucked in.
Like, seriously.
Well, here they would have just submitted him somewhere. You know what I mean? Like, OLOP or something like that.
So now they can just be crazy together for the rest of their lives. Because she's kind of crazy now. Because he kind of drove her through to it. And Babadook kind of made her real crazy. And now she's just crazy with her son. And they get along swimmingly. So.
It's crazy together.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
So apparently, I don't know. There's so much about this that I have to have thoughts on. But there was interesting thing about where the idea came from. So when she asked where the idea came from, she had a friend who's a single mother whose son was traumatized by this monster figure that he thought he saw everywhere in the house. So I thought, what if this thing was real on some level? So they made Monster, which is the short film, about that idea. But she couldn't leave it alone. So she kept coming back to it, and it led to the Babadook. So that's where she's got it from. So Amelia suffers from unprocessed trauma of witnessing a horrible death. It's up to the audience to interpret whether the Babadook is supernatural or psychological.
Yeah.
So is it a real thing, or is it really just this family's trauma being mentally kind of realized?
Yeah, I think it can go both ways depending on your lens that you watch the movie through. So like, I obviously picked up on the mental health part because, it was obvious. But and the recurring nightmare of her reliving the car crash with her husband and because he was driving her to the hospital to have Samuel. And that I will give him that. I do like the camera shot of her falling through her dream state into her bed.
Yeah,
and then
cool.
her waking up. That is really neat. Like I said, there's a lot of things I could appreciate about it. Like the way the house looks, like it's very gray and it's muted tones and it looks very just it just looks very bare and minimal, and it's just, it's not a happy looking house. It doesn't look welcoming whatsoever.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So, all that stuff was done really well, and but I think that all plays a part in how her life looked. Everything was very muted through that whole movie, except for the time that she's with her sister. Everything looks a little brighter, and
Yeah.
because her sister is like blaming her for not getting over her grief, which is shitty.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she didn't lose her significant other to something horrific. And then, like, the sister's daughter, I don't remember what that kid's name is. I think
Rose, maybe.
I kind of oh, that makes sense. Rose. I'm sorry if anyone's name is Rose.
I have a
I'm
child. His
just
middle name is Rose.
you know what?
Ruby was her name. Ruby.
Ruby. Okay, still bad. I
But
don't know.
Adeline's middle
Anyways,
name is Rose. Shut your face.
you know what? I know I have a lot of family members that let middle names Rose, and I don't like them very much.
Well, you know what? She's named after Doctor Who, so shut your face.
Well, you know what? That's better because I love Doctor Who. So anyway, so I'll let her off the hook. She's cute anyway, so I'm not talking about her. But
Plus, if you're
anyways,
mean to her, she might cut you.
she might.
She might Babadook you real quick.
Oh my gosh. But anyways, the fact that she is so hateful, I'm like, that is directly from her parents. Her sister, what's the main Amelia? Is it
Yeah,
Amelia?
Amelia.
Amelia's sister and her husband filled that child with all that nonsense. And it really
100%.
pisses me off. I'm like, she didn't just get that out of nowhere. She heard that from her dad and her mother.
Oh, yeah. She kind of at one point even says in the treehouse, like, well, my mom said da 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 da. And your mom doesn't even like you.
Like, you're just so weird that no one likes you, and that's why your dad's dead. I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, I looked at Johnny, I go, he's about to push her ass out the treehouse. So I hope she's prepared. And that's what he did.
She kind of deserved it a little bit. She was a snot-nosed little brat.
Oh, she deserved it 100%.
Yeah.
I was ready for her to be pushed out of the stupid treehouse.
Oh man.
I was like, these kids are all heinous, including Samuel at times. I did feel sorry for Samuel closer to the end, though.
I know, it's what I'm saying. I feel bad and dislike both of them at different parts in the movie, because you start off disliking Samuel and you feel bad for the mom. Like, he's just worn her ragged. And I've seen moms like that. Like, teaching special ed, I've seen kids like this who are so emotionally disturbed that their emotional issues relate to behavior problems. So, of course, they get labeled EBD, but it all stems from emotional in almost every case.
Yeah.
And you see these just tired, beaten down. I have moms who are like, I'm open to anything you suggest. I don't know what to do with him or her.
Yeah.
And that's how I felt to begin. And then as it goes, I'm like, this might all be your fault. Like, she's never processed her trauma.
No.
She's never let this kid have a birthday on his actual birthday because it's traumatic for her. So by not taking care of herself and processing this trauma, she's imprinted all of this on her son.
Yeah, she definitely has.
100%. So then you start to feel bad for him and then dislike her, especially when he's like, I just don't want you to leave me, mommy. I love you. I'm going to protect you. Like, and let's pause for a minute and talk about this kid's like little genius making these like catapult backpacks and dart guns and stuff. The kid is 6 years old. I was a little bit impressed. I mean, I know he didn't really make them, but like if a kid really made that, I'd be like, that's pretty impressive for a 6-year-old, bro. You made a backpack that launches a baseball.
Mm-hmm.
It worked because you hit your mom in the face with it. So it's whatever.
And she deserved to be smacked right in the freaking face.
Yeah, she did.
Gosh.
And then shot in the arm with his dart gun. Pow. I was just laughing. My mom would have snatched that thing up so fast.
I would have never had it to begin with. My mom was a helicopter. She would have found it and been like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, I'd have made it. That'd have been it.
Nothing.
I'd have made it. My dad would have been like, hey, where'd you get this? I'd be it's going in the trash. Why'd you make this? I don't know. Kind of like all the ninja stars I used to buy. Like, I'd go to like the flea market with my parents.
Oh my gosh.
If I had a couple of dollars, I'd be like, hey, I'm buying this ninja star for 50 cents. Me and my brother tried to throw it at the fence.
Oh my gosh.
My dad's like, why is there a bunch of holes in my fence? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
I don't know what Billy did, but it wasn't me.
Like when
they moved out, it was funny. My dad had like a whole drawer of like throwing knives and ninja stars and nunchucks and crap that he had confiscated from me and my brother. Like, why do you have this? Like, I got the flea market for 50 cents. It was $5. Leave me alone.
Oh my gosh.
But this kid was making whole arsenals. He was awesome.
Well, he needed to. It's a good thing he had all that shit because he would have died. Like
Yeah.
legitimately.
Oh yeah, yeah. He defended himself like a badass.
Yeah, I do that scene was very heart-wrenching when he had her finally like pinned down like in the
Yeah.
basement.
Oh, and
I
she's
was
choking
like,
him. He's patting her face. I was like, oh my god, this poor child.
I
This
know,
poor
right?
child.
I was like, this movie sucks. I hate this so much. Like I was so mad. All of it was I was so mad.
And I
Like,
said,
how could you not wake up?
I know,
You're in
right?
there somewhere, you
I couldn't
asshole.
imagine hurting one of my children like that.
No,
But I mean,
no.
I can also see, like, again, this goes into just extreme levels of mental health, not taking care of yourself, not taking care of
Mm,
your past trauma and letting it build and letting it build. And then finally it pops. It's like really a commentary on parenting, really, because a lot of parents, if you want to be a good parent, or in our case, you want to be a good teacher, so you just let things slide. We listen. All right, guys, we can't do that. And you kind of
mhm.
like, you try to let things go and be the cool person. And then finally you have those days where it's like, I said, everybody sit down and shut up now. Or you have to just be like, because you've let it go for so long, or you've written off behaviors as excuses. Well, it's because of this. No, you're just an
Mhm.
asshole and you're doing this. We need to stop. I got to teach you better. Right. But you have a parent in this case who isn't able to parent, really, because she's never been a parent pre-trauma. The trauma came the exact same day. So she doesn't know how to be a proper parent. She's been
No,
grieving the
she
whole time
doesn't.
this child's been alive.
Yeah, she even looks and there was a certain point in the movie, and I can't really maybe it was the scene with the doctor. That shot of just her face, she looked so worn down and just aged
Oh,
than she
yeah.
was from even the beginning of the movie, and I was like, "Good grief." Like, I honestly though, there's been times where my mental health's not been great, and I think that's why this movie bothered me so much. And I'm like, have felt this way sometimes. Like, I've just felt like I can't do it.
Yeah. I
I've
just
had
want to
enough.
sleep. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I don't feel like eating anything. I don't feel like talking to anybody. I just want to sleep. Just leave me alone and just let me be.
100%.
And I think that a lot of it because when you sit down to watch a movie, you want to sit down and escape, and be entertained. But like when you sit down and watch something like this, it's very artistic. It's just depressing.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
And
mirror,
it
right? Back at yourself a little
yeah,
bit.
yeah.
And 100%, like I said, like in all honesty, I'll be frank, I just came from this exact place, I just had to take a week and a half off. I couldn't do anything, right? Because depression
Mhm.
is real and it's the time that happens. So, I guess on a real note, guys, take care of yourself. Don't let this stuff slide. Don't be like
No.
this mom. Don't be like I was. I'm too tough. I don't need this. And then it comes to a point where you can't do anything. Everything shuts down, right? So,
Mhm.
and I think they did a good job of capturing that because I felt her pain. And then, like I said, once you kind
Yeah.
of realize what's going on, then you just feel for both of them. This
Yeah,
kid doesn't know
because
how to
they're
act.
no, and he wants to know his dad, but wants to because she won't. That's the part that really bothered me about him is she locked the basement with all the dad's belongings down there, and like you didn't let your son get to know him at all.
No,
And that's part of him getting to know what a great person he was and where he came from, and she wasn't even giving him that, and I was like, "That's shitty."
no, she couldn't deal with it. Like I said, it was
I
that
know.
grief, that grief
Mhm.
component, So
Yeah.
I can see that being an issue, man, for sure. So yeah, mental health, guys, it's serious. Take it serious. Take care of yourselves. Don't be like this mom in the Babadook. On a
No.
totally unrelated note, before I get down this rabbit hole again, I really liked how the Babadook looked.
Oh my god, the
It
Bob
was
He
interesting.
looked like a story like the actual storybook.
Yeah,
Like, I think that's why I told Johnny, I said because he was like, "He just looks ridiculous." I said, "Well, I think he's supposed to look like he just jumped out of the book and he's just there." You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Like,
Well, he
I
even says it's
didn't
his funny costume. It's part of the book, right? He says, "You'll see my funny
Yeah.
costume, but when you see me
Mhm.
take it off, you'll want to die." He's
Yeah.
based on Lon Chaney in 1927's London After Midnight. That's what the
I've
Babadook's
never
based
seen that.
on. You can Google it. It's
I
like a really once you see that image, a screenshot, you're like, "Oh, that's the Babadook."
I
They-
love Lon Chaney. I'm not
yeah,
sure why I
hat and
don't know that what
everything.
that movie is.
It's an old one,
Okay.
but it's a good one. Yeah, it predates like even the Universal monsters, but
Mhm. Well, I figured.
yeah, it's 1927.
Okay,
But
yeah.
it has that the hat and the coat, and he's got these weird wings, and his face is painted in a way like when you see the Babadook when he comes down on top of the mom, like that face it has, it's 100% Lon
Mhm.
Chaney. It's all based on that, which I kind of thought was
Okay.
cool. Nice little throwback to that.
I also liked I did like this. I liked that it sounded like a bug.
Yeah.
He sounded like a bug. So you kinda knew where he was, and, like, he's in the darkness, and he's like a roach. Well, so when the roaches appeared, that made sense to me, like, but then I was like, "Did they actually appear, or was that all in her imagination?"
Well, yeah, because then the hole
Because
wasn't there anymore. So I think it was all in her
I
brain.
know. Yeah. But, like, that whole, like, sequence of her finding the roaches and, like, thoroughly deep cleaning and then finally seeing the Babadook and, like, hearing it because, like, when he opens the door and, like, he,
Yeah, you hear him kind of
like,
crawling, like,
he's, like, crawling in, but he
yeah,
sounds like a bug when he does it, and he goes off into the dark corner, and I'm like, "Hey, dude."
like a
He's like,
roach.
"Oh, we're saying it." Yeah,
Yeah,
like a roach would do. I was like,
yeah,
So
100%.
gross.
Ugh.
Yeah, I know. That's why I'm like, I hate bugs, and especially in math. So when the bugs started coming out of the walls, like, oh, this is so gross. No, I can't. I can't do bugs at like a bunch of them at a time.
No, so you didn't like Oogie Boogie,
You know. But at least that's a animated.
the cartoons, right?
Yeah,
All right. Well, you want to go to the rubric?
we can.
Anything else you want to add before we go on and give it this bad boy its grade? We
No,
usually
because
add
the
a whole
thing
lot.
I was gonna say because I'm gonna add a lot to the music part. So
Yeah, I have something interesting for that too. So it's kind of cool,
okay.
I thought. All right, well, let's get into the rubric. So we'll start off with the literary element, the script, story development, dialogue, and character development. I thought this was really good, dog. Like, you hate the characters, you feel bad for the characters. Her sister's a total piece. You don't like her at all. The little girl's snot nose, but you're not supposed to like them.
Mm-hmm.
The story's pretty decent, I think.
It is. The writing is really good. I wouldn't score it super low, no.
No, I mean, because I don't see a lot of
Um,
issues. The stories, it goes along. It's pretty linear. You
mhm.
get a little couple jumping around with her flashbacks, but they play a vital role in the story of giving you an insight into why she has this trauma.
Yeah, and the flashbacks happen in her dreams too, so it
Yeah,
makes more sense. So they spend a lot of time sleeping in the movie and dreaming. So, I mean, that part made sense. So that was a good way of adding in that element of explaining the backstory.
yeah, I thought so too. It's probably like a 20 for me.
Yeah, I'll say a 20.
Because I can't think anything bad. The characters are pretty good. I think they're
Mhm.
developed well, from start to finish. Like you see her character unravel from the beginning. As you could tell from the beginning, she's barely holding it together as it
Oh,
is,
yes.
and then you see it
Yes.
go just progressively worse.
Yes. It gets 1,000 times worse.
Yeah, I agree.
She spirals out of control really fast.
Yes,
So,
she does. But she's had 6-7 years to get to where she's at. Right,
yes.
his whole life
Yes.
essentially of him being probably like that all the time.
I know, god, that'd be terrible.
Because even
I
before the
can't
Babadook
imagine.
thing, he seems to be scared of monsters. He seems to be afraid. He seems to like,
That's why she was so upset about the book when she first started reading. She was like, "Oh, we can't read this." And he's like,
yeah,
"No, no." I'm like, "Oh my god."
yeah,
And then
we're
he's
not
just
reading this.
screaming because he wants to read the rest of it, and she's like, "You already sleep with me half the time." I could feel her pain on that. I was like, "No, you can't sleep with me.
No, yeah, my bad.
I don't share my bed." Sorry.
All right, the effects design element. So visual effects elements that connect to the narrative, set design, overall character design, gore, practical versus digital effects. I really like this. I thought the set looked
Well, because
really good.
it was well done.
Yeah, the color, like you said earlier, it's very monochromatic. It feels dingy, even though it's not
Yeah.
supposed to. Like she's wearing pink half the time, and she's trying to be cheerful, but her whole life is like surrounded with just drab and almost imposing darkness.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like
Yeah,
it a lot.
it's not it's the set was really well done and the characters were pretty spot on.
Yeah, and I'm considering the way the book worked as like an effect too. Like when she's reading the book the second time, when it comes back, taped back together, and the character has changed from the boy to her, and it
Mhm,
shows
and
her
then
like
shows that one little
moving.
stain of red,
Yeah,
one
where
little
it's
spot
like
of red
blood
in it.
running down her neck. Yeah, that was really
Mm,
cool. I thought, very well done. I was like, holy crap, that
yeah.
book's jacked up. Like this
Yeah, right.
ranks high for me.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I that's what I'm saying, like, there's no doubt that this movie was well done, I just don't like it.
Yeah,
So,
which is totally fine.
and now that we're using a rubric, it's gonna score higher.
Yeah, I know, but
So,
first couple episodes, Smile probably would have scored a lot higher based on
it
this
would've been an
rubric.
A.
Yeah, instead of a C.
Yeah.
I'm thinking like a 2025, man. Like I really can't find any real flaws. The characters are designed well. Even at that birthday party, all the adults are like drab gray, but the kids are wearing blue and pink. Like it's like
Mhm.
those pops of color in the children, right? It's that princess
Yeah.
party. All the little girls are in pink dresses. The moms have like pink undertones, but it's mostly black. Then she's sitting there with her little normal pink work dress, just like sad and dejected
And miserable, and
and miserable.
oh my
Yes.
god, her her comment to that bitch, I was like, "That's what she
I
gets."
know it must
I
be
get it.
terrible. You can't go to the gym.
I know.
Fuck you, get out of my face. I was like, okay, okay.
She's like, "I've had enough of this nonsense,
hundred
you
percent.
entitled asshole."
So what do you think? 2025? 20? Maybe? For the visual effects?
I think a 20 would be good.
Okay. I agree. Like I said, there were some parts I probably could have been a little better, but like I thoroughly enjoyed it. I think the writing
Mhm.
at the end and the kind of the weirdness with the worms, that was kind of whatever. But
Oh my god, the ending was not what I wanted it to be at
and
all.
only thing I would have liked to have seen the Babadook's like full form instead of just its weird arm wings. Because you
Yeah.
saw him in his weird costume, goofy costume form, but you didn't see him in his actual Babadook form,
Yeah,
like at
but would have
all.
been the same for us if, like, we didn't smile when we were kinda disappointed that that actually showed us what it actually looked
Yeah, true,
like. I feel
true.
like it would have probably made it worse.
Yeah, but Smile would have got knocked higher for the visual effects. Even though story I'd have knocked it off, it looked good, right? So I'm talking about
Yeah, it did
just
look
from a
good.
solely effects department. It would be hard to say. Yeah,
Okay.
if I could see it, oh, that looks really awesome, 25. But yeah. All right, let's move on. The visual technical elements. So overall aesthetic of the film is pleasing to the eye. The lighting, creative camera shots, and movement and lens selection. I have like nothing but positive things to say about this. It was shot really well.
Yeah, it was. Well, I told you about the like, when she's, like, flying through her dream and into her
Yeah.
bed, like, of all those shots were really cool, and her they did a lot of shots where it was first person, her looking up at the ceiling
Yeah.
and, like, her focus going in and out.
Yeah. I
Those
like
were all
that.
neat too.
I like that and the shot of her sleeping that was sped up. So you see her eyes move through rim the whole time, and all of a sudden it's
Mhm.
daytime. I like that a lot. When he was like, "Mom, it's 9 o'clock." It's oh god, I'm late. Yeah, I even like the opening scene. I think from start to finish, from the how it was shot, was very well done.
Yeah.
Great angles. There was some great use of lighting. Like you said, if not seeing the Babadook was the point, you had just enough of him in those side lights to know some scary crap was there. But also, kind of now, the more that I think on it, if you are not, if you're supposed to know if it's as real or psychological, not actually putting a face to it, I think is better. So I think I agree. I think I was wrong when I said that a second ago. It's probably better that we didn't see it.
Yeah.
Other than the time that he was in his funny costume, you do see his face when he jumps down on her from the ceiling,
Mhm.
which I thought was pretty
And it's
cool.
very brief though.
Yeah, he's just a white
S
face with a black top hat, but you see it.
Yeah.
But I dig it. I thought it was really cool. So I'm glad that yeah, I like that. So what do you think? I'm thinking 2025 again. I
I think
can't really
this one
knock
deserves
anything.
it. I was gonna say, I think this one deserves a 25.
Okay. Yeah, I can't
'Cause
really
I
knock
even
anything.
noticed all the different camera shots and the different, like, artistic choices she made.
Oh, really?
So
You're starting to notice those things, hmm?
well, this one was very evident.
Yeah, it really was. I know. It was good. I thought they
S
were really well done. Like
Mhm.
the shots from downstairs when the kids come in, or like those scenes when he's getting yanked around in the room and you
Yeah, that
get that
was
first person and she's tripping, like freaking out. And even that shot where you don't see the Babadook, but when it passes her in the end, her face is all white, glowing white. It's almost like from It a little bit, but
Mhm.
that fear was real, and I really liked that. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And I also like that they were able to capture the boy looking terrified without ever actually exposing him to anything that was terrifying, which I think was really neat.
Yeah, because that would have been terrible to see a
Oh,
grown-ass woman chasing me with a knife,
100%.
trying to murder me.
100%. Yeah, or even
Like,
saying those
"Mommy
things
loves
to
you.
him.
You can be with your dad and meet your dad and be with your dad." I'm like, "Dad's dead, dude.
Yeah, yeah. She's
He
gonna kill
knows
you.
what
Run
that
away.
means."
Run away. Hit her with your slingshot again. Let's go. Your backpack catapult. Let's get it, dude. All right. Last element is our sound element. The sound represents the overall tone of the film. The soundtrack, as well as the score, keeps the audience engaged with the setting, characters, location, and narrative of the piece.
Well, this one gets a 25 for me. And the reason, because I had a lot of notes on the music and the score on this one and the sound effects, because the score was very unsettling. The sound effects while she's dreaming are super weird. I don't even know how to explain it, to be honest with you. You really just have to watch it to find out. I think the lack of sound when she's had that long sleep and she's walking around the house, you can't hear her footsteps, you can't hear
Yeah.
anything. And I think that is what it's at first time where she got the 3 knocks at the door.
Oh
And then
yeah.
she opens the door and there's nothing there, and then 'cause that's the only thing you hear, is 2 sets of 3 knocks, and when she finally opens the door again, the book is back. But, like,
Was it 3
before
and
that,
3 or 2 and 3? Like the Baba
like,
Baba
it
Dook Dook
knocked
Dook.
yeah, it knocked 3 times, and then she opened the door and there was nothing there, and then when she closes it, it does it one more time, but it, like, beats 3 again.
Okay.
So but, like, before that, you can't hear anything. You can't hear her walking down the steps, you can't hear her waking up, like, none of it was like an absence of sound.
Like she's still in a
And I
dream.
think yeah, 'cause I couldn't figure that I think that's probably why they did that because it
Mhm.
was like you were trying to figure out if she was still sleeping or if she was awake. But I think that made it very unnerving that you could not hear anything. I don't
Yeah.
like absence of sound sometimes. That's why at night I sleep with a fan on. Like, I have to have some kind of ambient sound going on.
Oh, me too. Same. I need the fan.
Um, yeah. So, and then the muffled whispering throughout the time where she's like getting kind of overtaken by the Babadook. Like you can't figure out if the muffled whispering is coming within her or if it's coming with like in the shadows and
Yeah.
then the background noise of all the bugs.
Yeah.
Like I just that whole all of that combined, that made the movie very unsettling.
I agree. I
So,
liked it. It was done by
yeah.
Jed Kurzel. He's the guy.
We
He did a good
he
job.
did a great job.
What I like, and I told you I had some notes myself. They were just little fun facts.
Mhm.
There's a
Mhm.
lot of sound effects from video games in this movie, apparently. So in a
Oh,
few
okay.
scenes where the Babadook is present, they took sound effect from Warcraft 2. So basically the effect was a call and response of dragons. So that was
Oh,
their sound there. Another of the sound effects heard in a couple of scenes was from the 90s game XCOM UFO Defense. They took sound bites from that. There's a vocal sample from the PlayStation 1 game Resident Evil. So from the original Resident Evil, you can hear multiple times that confrontation at the end. So the Babadook's noises might have been from Resident Evil. And then the
okay.
scream heard repeatedly towards the end is actually from Mortal Kombat 3. It's Motaro. That's not
Oh,
actually
that
her.
makes a lot of
Yeah,
sense.
I thought it was kind of funny that they did that. But yeah, I agree. It was really good. I think the soundtrack was it was used really well to kind of give you that sense of dread or that sense of unknowing. I don't know what's going on. And I really appreciated that.
Mhm.
So yeah, looks like what 50, 60, 70, 90. Babadook gets a 90.
Yep, I figured it would based on our rubric. I
Yeah.
just don't like it.
And I understand that. Like I said, there was parts of it I didn't like. But looking at it from a solely like educational like standpoint, like from just looking at it like a piece of art, I thought it was really well done. It's
Yeah,
well
this
written.
this movie I can see like if you were taking a film studies class in college, this is a movie that a film studies teacher should pick
I agree. Yeah, because it's a
because
great
there's
commentary.
so much you can pull from it and doing a thorough analysis on. It's just really it's hard to watch if you're not in a good mood
Yeah,
already.
I
And I
agree.
was not in a good mood yesterday, so
Uh,
so it wasn't good.
I think
Mm.
maybe I liked it because I was. I was just, I was on spring
Well, I
break
mean,
and
it
then I've been sick all week, so I haven't been back to work to be in a bad mood.
yes, I've been back to work, and it's been so much
Mm.
fun.
I was in the Yucatan and now I'm just chilling at my house in quarantine. A little funny before we wrap up that I think is amusing. This film actually became a meme and symbol for the LGBTQ plus community because Netflix accidentally placed it under LGBT movies.
Oh my gosh, that's great.
Yeah, like it was an accident. They were just like, we're gonna run with it,
That's funny.
which is fun. Oh, and back to what I was saying earlier, the total budget was 2.5 million, but $30,000 was raised via Kickstarter, and most of that went to the art department.
It makes sense.
You know,
So,
I see the graphic designer and illustrator who designed it. His name was Alex Draz. I'm looking his stuff up because I think it was really cool. It was dark, and yeah, there's only 4 deaths in this movie. The roll call of death here, before I forget it. Oscar dies at the very beginning. The poor dog dies. Oscar's ghost dies, and I guess technically the Babadook dies, but not really. So there's only almost no death. I like that the original characters you start with are there at the end. It's just solely about psychological trauma and dealing with and coping with grief.
I was really hoping the dog would survive because
I
I hate it when animals die in movies. I'm like, "Really? Can we just not?
know Aaron does
Let's
too.
not bother
I'm
let's
surprised
not
she wasn't
bother the
like,
animals." Well, I knew it was gonna happen as soon as it showed her strangling the dog. I was like, "Son of a bitch, I hate
yeah.
when the dog dies." I looked at him, I said, "The dog better not die, I'm gonna be so mad." And then it happened and I go, "Damn it, I
Well,
knew it."
they
I was so
foreshadowed it,
mad.
man. They showed you in the book.
I
I knew it was
know.
going to happen. Someone had to die. She wasn't going to kill the kid, though. Which I'm
No.
glad the kid didn't die. I'm glad that he survived. Because the boy
Well,
he needs help, but he also wants to help, which I appreciate about his character. So overall,
yeah, and
guys,
I
Go ahead.
don't know if I mentioned this or not, but it was really sad when he's sitting in bed and he looks at her and he says, "You'll protect me too, right, mommy?"
Yeah.
I'm like, God, if your child has to ask you that, you have done a shitty job.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just saying. Self-reflection needs to happen. So
I mean, she's never parented.
I know.
She's just
And
been coping.
I
It's
know it's still terrible.
oh,
Makes
it's
me mad.
100% terrible. I'm not saying I agree, but I kind of like again, I feel for her because she's spent his
Yeah.
whole life just coping, doing
Yeah.
the minimum to get by because she's not taking care of herself. But she
And
couldn't
she's not
focus on
grieving
her.
properly.
Well, yeah, because she probably
Yeah.
has that same thing that most parents think. I have to ignore myself because my kids need this, or my kids need this, or I have to be this
Mhm.
for my kids. And that's a
Yeah.
big part of like my own mental health struggles. I've never gotten help myself because I always feel like I have to be strong for my kids and show them what it means to endure. But really, I'm just hurting myself and them in the long run. So,
Mhm.
and hopefully at the end of this movie, she realizes that and gets help, and they both go to a psychiatrist and they deal with this Babadook problem, and it goes away because that was weird.
It
So,
was really weird.
so yeah, guys, there you have it. Babadook, solid film, very artistic. Could definitely have been an A24 film.
I said the same thing.
100%.
100,000%.
I
What are
actually
you
had to go
talking
back
about?
and double check to make sure it wasn't. I'm like, was this A24? Because this feels like A24.
I did.
Got a 90 on the rubric. If you like those artistic kind of horror movies, you'll love it. Don't be in
Mhm.
a bad mood when you watch it because it will definitely play
No.
in your emotions. And yeah,
Yes.
there you have it, guys. We'll be back on our
Yes.
now that we're back from spring break. We'll be back on our normally scheduled recording release dates every Sundays, right?
Yes.
So we got one more coming out after this, and then we'll get to our book. What was that again?
What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher.
Yeah, pretty good
And
so far.
it's a nod to Edgar Allan Poe. So very short read.
Yeah, I mean it's only a 5-hour audiobook, 5 hour and some
Yeah.
change.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go that route, it's read very well. The narrator, does a great job so far. I'm about 2 hours in ish, and he's killing it. Doing a really good
Okay.
job. Is changing voices. He fit the characters. I like it. I highly recommend it. It's interesting thus far. Real quick before we wrap up, shout out to our patrons. We did get a new one from our last episode.
We sure did. Very
So,
nice.
yes, appreciate it, friends. As usual, my little brother is always supportive. So, thanks, Billy Holland. And then we have Zach Merritt this week, a new Patreon. We greatly appreciate you, sir.
Yes,
Just
we do.
supporting what we do here. Like I said, educating people on the things that we find interesting. That's kind of what a teacher's job is. So, we get to talk about things we actually enjoy and not what the state tells us. So, that's cool.
Right.
Hey, I'm going to indoctrinate your kids to like horror movies. Let's get it. You can
Yeah.
accuse me of that. That's fine.
And horror books.
All the horror books and movies and stuff. But yeah,
I
guys,
have a bunch in my classroom, so the
heck
kids
yeah,
appreciate it.
you read these books. But yeah, no. So read with us in the book club, guys. If you are, I'll make a post about it this week just with an update. And yeah, hopefully you guys liked our last episode. Again, big thank to our patrons. And yeah, Jenny, you want to tell them where they can find us?
Yeah, sure can. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Horror in the Halls. You can also follow Jenny_Dreadfuls on Instagram. You can email us at horrorinthehalls@gmail.com. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, we would, guys. Reach out. Follow us on every social media. Support us on Patreon. Buy a t-shirt. Let us know what you think. And if you see our
Buy a
stickers around
coffee mug
places, yeah, buy a coffee
if you
mug.
like coffee or tea,
I know.
whatever.
I need to order myself one of those so I can just drink out of it all the
Right?
time. Hello, friend.
Yeah.
And
Just post pictures of me drinking out of my my podcast cup.
heck yeah, this is my podcast cup. I did put stickers all over New Orleans, so hopefully we'll get some new listeners from there.
Here you go.
I was
Listen.
a vandal over spring break. I apologize to the city of New Orleans, but yeah, if you found us there, welcome to the fold. But yeah, spread the word, guys. Get us out there. Let us know what you think, and yeah, that's going to be the bell. We're going to hop out of here. So we'll see you next week.
Bye.